Hello everyone, I'm meteorologist Charlie Ironmonger. Thank you so much for joining me today for your 1 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. Now, I've got, again, more news from a story we brought you earlier today about the two men arrested in connection to the West Greenville murder that happened yesterday. Now, officials say that 35-year-old Alan Fisher and 25-year-old Casey Hardy, both of Greenville, were arrested and charged with the murder of 42-year-old Kelvin Williams. Yesterday, officers were called to 1223A Battle Street around 10 a.m. after receiving reports of gunfire. When they got there, officers say they found Williams outside the home suffering from gunshot wounds. Despite efforts from EMS, Williams died at the scene. Now, police say they took Fisher and Hardy into custody earlier this morning at the Cypress Inn and Suites in Chocowinity with help from the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office. Officials say preliminary information suggests the shooting stemmed from an earlier dispute. Now, Fisher and Hardy have been charged with one open count of murder and one count of possession of a firearm by a felon. Both men will appear in court for a first appearance later this afternoon. Now, also again, want to highlight the Trump administration pulling the U.S. from UNESCO. Again, this is breaking news, just happened today. The White House announced a decision to withdraw from the UN's Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Agency today, citing what the Trump administration sees as anti-Israel bias at the organization. This will be the third time the U.S. has left UNESCO, which is based in Paris, and the second time during a Trump administration. The decision will take effect at the end of December of 2026. Now, the Biden administration applied to rejoin the organization just 2 years ago. That move came after the Trump administration withdrew from UNESCO, citing anti-Israel bias in 2017. The United States previously pulled out of UNESCO under the Reagan administration in 1984. It rejoined in 2003 during George W. Bush's presidency. And now we turn our attention to your weather forecast, where again today is it's a warm day. It's certainly warm, but we have seen air temperatures come down significantly from where they were yesterday. As far as skies go, I'm looking outside right now. I just took a walk. Things are still pretty sunny for those of you watching along and north of Highway 264, but as you get closer to the Crystal Coast, you are running into a little bit more cloud cover. Let's take a look at what we've got across the east right now. And again, that big band of clouds off the coast, that is a stationary front that will lead to a better chance of rain for coastal communities coming up tomorrow and the day after tomorrow. Now, as we head into Friday, that stationary front will gradually get shoved off into the Atlantic further eastward as a high pressure system moves in from the west. But for now, again, looking at some coastal cloud cover, some of those clouds even extending back into portions of Jones, Lenoir, Wayne, and Duplin counties. So not just coastal communities, some inland areas, again, also seeing some cloud cover at this hour, but rain showers few and far between. Not really seeing a whole lot of rain currently. That may change later on this afternoon, but heat-driven showers and thunderstorms are going to be a little bit more difficult to come by today thanks to the cooler air temperatures. Right now, 85 degrees in Morehead City, comes with a northeasterly wind at about 13 miles an hour. Of course, dew points in the mid-70s will push your heat index up to around 93 degrees. Here's a look at your air temperatures across the board. Most of us right now in the mid to upper 80s. We've got 89 degrees in Windsor as well as Jacksonville, 88 in New Bern, Kinston, Greenville, and Rocky Mount. Looking at 85 degrees through Elizabeth City, Edenton, Swan Quarter, Oriental, and Goldsboro, 86 in Kenansville as well as Washington. Overall, again, a mild day compared to where we've been, considering it's 1 o'clock, but again, it still feels pretty warm outside for some when you factor in that humidity. Let's talk about the humidity. It has come down. Right now, we're looking at dew points in the upper 60s for Rocky Mount, Ahoskie, Swan Quarter, and Washington. That is a big improvement on what we saw yesterday. And in fact, to compare it to yesterday, you might notice a difference when you see those dew points drop by about 4, 5, 6 degrees. And that's where most of eastern North Carolina is currently. Now, those of you watching across Duplin, Onslow, and even Jones counties, Pender, Sampson as well, you guys are probably going to be feeling less of that change because this change is being driven by northeasterly winds. And that's why Elizabeth City, Manteo, kind of the Albemarle Sound region, those are the areas that have really experienced that dew point drop over the past 24 hours. Now, later on tonight, air temperatures should be dipping down into the upper 60s, and that will help push all of our humidity levels down a little bit further than they're at right now. So coming up for tomorrow, more of a comfortable day. Today's that transition day. We started out very humid, but again, we will finish less so as we head later and later into the evening and overnight hours. By the time we get to around 7 o'clock, 83 degrees, 80 by 8, and then it's the 70s. Seeing 77 degrees by 9 p.m. is something we haven't been able to say for the past several days. In fact, we hadn't seen 77 degrees at midnight over the past several days. Usually it's been around 81, 80 degrees, if not 79 degrees by midnight over the past several nights. Now let's zoom the picture out a little bit further and see exactly what we've got on the way. There's that stationary front again off of our coastline, but that high pressure system you're seeing over Arkansas, yeah, it's going to try to cruise up around Arkansas a little bit more. Move it up towards the northwest, but then the jet stream is really going to pick up on it, and it's going to help shove it further eastward. And that is really what's going to heat us up as we head through your Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Air temperatures will be taking off. There you can kind of see that high slowly starting to work its way eastward. Cold frontal boundary starting to develop on the backside of the Rocky Mountains, heading eastward. Again, that will only enhance that high pressure system flow towards eastern North Carolina. Now, as that happens, it will reduce our chance of scattered showers along the coast as we head through Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But again, like I mentioned, for tomorrow and day after tomorrow, coastal rain showers will be possible, if not likely. They're going to be fairly scattered, so we're not looking at continuous rain, but there certainly will be drops coming down for those of you watching along the coast for Wednesday as well as Thursday. Zooming it out again, we've got more heat on the way. 91 degrees on Thursday, not too bad. Normal this time of year is between around 89 to 93 degrees. We'll be at the high end of that range there on Friday, and then we're moving past it as we head into Saturday and Sunday. And it's Saturday and Sunday with air temperatures in the mid, possibly upper 90s with higher humidity. Overnight lows in the mid to upper 70s. That will again force your heat index to around 105 to possibly up to 115 degrees. That is why Saturday and Sunday again are both first alert weather days, because of the heat that will be present. Now, will there be storms? Yeah, there's certainly going to chance we could see some spotty storms out there, but the chance of those storms turning severe, not all that high. Again, we're not looking at any sort of major forcing event that would create stronger thunderstorms. These are going to be heat and humidity driven storms, which obviously we are going to have plenty of heat and humidity. But even as we transition into the following work week, Monday and Tuesday, still looking hot, still looking humid, and still maintaining about a 20 to 40% chance of showers and downpours. That's all we have time for today's 1 p.m. news and weather update from the First Alert Desk. I want to thank you all so much for joining me. We'll be back with more news and weather coming up at the top of the hour. Until then, I hope you all have a fantastic Tuesday.